How did the two experiences compare? Like doing a late night set on Conan versus Corden?
They actually were very different just in terms of the setup. Like Corden and Conan as hosts were both amazing. They were both incredibly kind to me. Both bookers, JP and Ryan, were awesome to work with. So like I had nothing but positive experiences in terms of doing the show with the intangibles outside of actually performing. What was different about Conan and Corden is Conan is much more like the big studio audience that's 30 feet away from you, and Corden actually has floor seats with crowd members 2 feet away. So I was actually more comfortable performing on Corden just because the literal setup of who you perform to feels much more like a comedy club. There are people 3 feet away from you, like would happen in a front row of a comedy club, as opposed to Conan very much feels like this is a studio audience that you cannot reach out and touch.
Is there a teleprompter at these shows?
There's a teleprompter in that they offer you, not word for word, they offer you to put your set list on a teleprompter in case you like black out. They give you that option. The first time I did Conan, I had it up there just because I was so scared that I was going to get out there and just completely blank.
Right.
The second and third late night sets, I didn't want it because I didn't want to have anything to take my eye off of the audience and just like being in the moment. You know, because I was like, once you know the teleprompter's there, even if you don't need it, you kind of look at it, and I didn't want it to throw me in the middle of the performance. So again, that came from being more comfortable and knowing I was going to remember my shit. I wasn't worried about it.
What about backstage? Do you get like cool gifts, or is there food, or like what's going on back there?
Conan, they give you, I forget what it's called, but it's like a very famous Chicago popcorn where it's a mix of cheddar and caramel corn. That's like their stage gift. And then there's all kinds of just food in the green room available. Corden, they asked me what I wanted in the green room, and I just said like fruit and vegetables because I'm not trying to have like a turkey leg before I go out on national TV. And then there were some cool gifts. There was like a whole lot. I think it was a sponsor. There was like lotions and a face mask that I gave to my wife, and she was thrilled with it. And a water bottle and a mug and stuff like that. But you're obviously not doing it for the gifts here.
Of course. But I don't even know what. I haven't even been backstage of a show like that yet. So I'm just curious of like what it is.
Yeah.
Like a fly on the wall.
Yeah, it's just a nice green room where they give you a mirror and a couch and food.
But when we've been in green rooms, that it can literally be like the closet in the back of this restaurant.
No, it's
like,
a proper. No, it's a dressing room. Another thing I would advise to any stand-ups, if you get your first late night set, I made the mistake my first late night set of having a whole bunch of friends in the room. So like I had my manager. And then I brought like 4 or 5 people to be in there, and it ended up being too much, because it was like I was trying to go over my set. I was already nervous, and there were people talking. Like, you don't want to bring friends back there and be like, everyone shut the fuck up. So they were having a good time, and it was just kind of distracting. And now after that, when I've done it, Esther, my wife, and then I'll have like my manager or my agent and maybe one friend because they all, like Clayton came with me the second Conan.
Nice.
Just because like it's good to have a support system. You don't want to sit there alone, but you also want to have a small group of people who you're comfortable being like, hey guys, can we just kind of like be silent for a minute so you can have your moment of peace. It's like you don't want to be too overwhelmed before you go out. You want to be able to concentrate and have your own space.
Did you meet Corden or Conan before the set or after the set?
I met Conan the first time I ever did Conan right before I went out. Like I'm standing there at the curtain. It's the commercial break. And that's the most nerve-wracking because they'll tell you like, okay, we just went to commercial, you're next. And you just kind of stand behind the curtain. You can hear the like studio kind of shifting. And right before I went out and before we came back from commercial break, Conan came and like shook my hand and met me. And that was awesome. But it was also like I was in my zone trying to get ready to prepare for Conan. And then here Conan comes. So it was like awesome to meet him, but also probably couldn't have been worse timing because I just like didn't want to meet Conan right before I'm worried about like my opening line.
Right.
The second time I had already done it, so like he didn't come by the green room or anything. But what was cool, it just so happened the second time I did Conan was the night of their holiday party because it was like middle of December, and he invited me to come to the holiday party that night. And that night I went and actually got to hang out with Conan, and he could not have been sweeter and more complimentary. He's just like a really good guy. And then Corden actually came and hung out in my dressing room for 5 or 10 minutes before the show. And I didn't even realize what an impact that would have on me, but it actually made me so much more comfortable. Like, I didn't meet suit and tie James Corden, who was out in front of the studio audience. He was just kind of himself, and he was just having a drink, shooting the shit, and it was just like way more casual, and it made me feel much better about going and performing on his show. So it was both of them were incredibly kind to me. So yeah, they were great.
Hot breath.